Sunlight, strong bodies, and daring dives into raging seas. Those were the images that turned Baywatch into an icon of its era. Those heroes in red once represented youth beauty and courage, admired by millions of viewers. But behind that dazzling shoreline were lives soaked in tears. Some passed away in tragic accidents. Some quietly collapsed under illness, pain, and loneliness, while others had to walk through brokenness to reclaim themselves. Stay until the end as we uncover their real lives, and you will be stunned by what was hidden behind the spotlight. Do not forget to like and subscribe to Cinema Nostalgia so you will not miss this heartbreaking yet inspiring story. Number 1. Michael Newman as Mike Newmie Newman. Michael Newman was born on June 7, 1957 in California, and when he entered the first season of Baywatch in 1989 at the age of 32, he did not merely play Mike Newmie. Newman, he almost brought his own life onto the screen. Newmie appeared amid the golden sunlight and silver waves as a quiet hero, brave, calm, devoted a lifeguard who made audiences trust him from the very first look. That character became special because Michael in real life was truly a firefighter and an ocean rescue lifeguard, so every sprint, every dive into the water carried a rare sense of authenticity. But behind that radiant sunlight, his life passed through another sea, one far more silent and harsh. In 2006, Michael Newman was diagnosed with Parkinson's, the disease that forced him to leave behind the firefighting work he loved, as if it were part of his own flesh and blood. Even so, he did not choose to surrender. He continued to inspire others through his own endurance, as though a man who had once saved people in the ocean was now teaching others how to stand firm in the storm. By his side was Kathleen, his wife since 1984, along with their 2 children, who always saw their father as a symbol of courage. There are people who do not need a spotlight to become great because their dignity shines on its own. Michael Newman passed away on October 20th, 2024 in Los Angeles at the age of 67. The estimated net worth of $5 million could not compare with the true legacy he left behind. Thousands of lives saved and millions of hearts once touched. Number 2. Richard Jaeckel as Lieutenant Ben Edwards. Richard Jaeckel was born on October 10, 1926 in Long Island, New York. When he appeared in Baywatch in 1991, at the age of 65, he transformed into Lieutenant Ben Edwards, as if he had been born to wear that uniform. On the sun-drenched beach of Malibu, Ben Edwards emerged as a strict, devoted, and seasoned commander. A man who did not need to say too much yet, was still enough to make everyone listen. To Mitch Buchannon, he was the calm mentor behind life-or-death decisions. To the audience, he was a symbol of discipline, responsibility, and the courage of an older generation of men. But in real life, Richard Jaeckel's life was not covered in easy light the way it was on screen. He enlisted in the military when he was only 17, carrying the echoes of war with him throughout the rest of his life. Returning to Hollywood, he went through difficult years doing all kinds of odd jobs just to survive, before the door to cinema finally agreed to open. Then The Dirty Dozen in 1967 brought his name closer to the public, and sometimes a great notion. In 1971, earned him an Oscar nomination, like a belated recognition for a talent that had endured for far too long. Yet the final chapter of his life was as sad as a prolonged sunset. In 1994, he went bankrupt, lost his home, and had to rely on the pension fund of the Screen Actors Guild. 2 years later, malignant skin cancer struck again. Amid all those collapses, his 50-year marriage to Antoinette Mary became his final shelter, even though she herself was gradually drifting away because of Alzheimer's. Richard Jaeckel passed away on June 14, 1997, in Woodland Hills, California, at the age of 70. What remained longest in him was the respect he quietly planted in the hearts of many generations of young actors. Number 3. Pat Morita as Hideki Tanaka. Pat Morita was born on June 28, 1932, in Ileton, California. When he appeared in Baywatch Hawaii in 1999 at the age of 67, he brought to the character Hideki Tanaka, a very different kind of beauty amid that sunlit and bustling world. Hideki Tanaka was a strict yet warm father, calm yet profound, like an eastern breeze entering the noisy beach of Baywatch. In his eyes and his voice, there was experience, wisdom, and an entire culture that knew how to remain silent while still making others listen. He did not need to show off to leave a mark because that very composure made the character a special emotional anchor. But off-screen, Pat Morita's life was a long journey of pain and endurance. At only 2 years old, he contracted spinal tuberculosis and had to use crutches for nearly 10 years. Just as he had relearned how to walk, he was sent to an internment camp for Japanese Americans during World War II. The feeling of being discriminated against, deprived of freedom, and treated like an outsider silently followed him throughout his life. When he came to Hollywood, he continued to face closed doors because of racism. He chose comedy as a curtain to hide wounds that were not easy to name until his role as Mr. Miyagi in The Karate Kid in 1984 turned him into a global cultural icon and earned him a prestigious Oscar nomination. Yet behind that success were still years of loneliness, struggles with alcohol, 3 marriages that ended one after another, and a heart that grew more and more exhausted. His final wife, Evelyn, was the one who stayed by his side in his last stage, as chronic kidney failure gradually wore down his strength. Pat Morita passed away on November 24, 2005 in Las Vegas. His estimated fortune of $8 million was not what made him immortal. His true legacy lies in the way a man who had gone through pain, discrimination, and loss could still transform it all to gentleness on screen. Number 4. Pamela Bach-Hasselhoff as Kaye Morgan. Pamela Bach-Hasselhoff was born on October 16, 1963 in Tulsa, Oklahoma. When she appeared in Baywatch in 1991 at the age of 27, she brought to Kaye Morgan a very distinct gentleness amid a world filled with sunlight and sea breeze. Kaye was the kind-hearted cafe owner, someone who was always present with a warm smile, a timely word of concern, and a sense of peace that those around her could lean on. On screen, Pamela did not need overly dramatic scenes to be remembered. It was that softness and sincerity that made her character a small, warm corner amid the shore-breaking rhythm of life in Malibu. But beyond the lights of Hollywood, Pamela's real life followed a much sadder path. She met David Hasselhoff on the set of Knight Rider and married him in 1989, stepping into marriage with a dream of a home amid the glow of fame. Yet after 17 years, that life gradually became surrounded by media scrutiny, prolonged conflicts, alcohol, and emotional wounds that were not easy to name. After the divorce, Pamela carried a quiet, lingering hurt, while her career also gradually receded into the background. The troubles related to alcohol and the period of withdrawing from public life made her image grow increasingly silent. Pamela passed away on March 5, 2025, in Encino, California, at the age of 62. Her estimated net worth of $2 million does not tell the whole story of her life. What remains is the image of a woman who fought in silence, leaving behind a very Hollywood kind of sadness. Sometimes the brightest smile hides the deepest shadows. Number 5. Scott Plank as Samuel Sam Parks. Scott Plank was born on November 2, 1958 in Washington, D.C. When he appeared in Baywatch Hawaii in 2000 at the age of 42, he played Samuel Sam Parks, a brave and calm lifeguard who always carried with him a rare sense of kindness. Although he appeared in only 4 episodes, Sam still left a mark thanks to his gentle eyes, steady presence, and the feeling of safety that the character brought, like someone who did not need to show off yet, was still enough to make others remember him for a very long time. But off-screen, Scott Plank's life came to an end far too soon. In October 2002, After a theater rehearsal in Los Angeles, he was involved in a serious traffic accident. His final days at UCLA Medical Center passed in the anxiety and helplessness of those who loved him before Scott suddenly passed away at the age of 43. The loss came so quickly that many people could hardly believe that such a kind and lively face as his had left this world so early. Behind the lights, Scott lived a simple life with Terry Plank, the wife he had married in 1990. They had no children, but they shared an enduring and quiet love. Terry stayed by his side in the hospital until the very end, just as she had always been there throughout their life together. Scott left behind a net worth of about $1 million, but what remains deeper than any number are the beautiful memories he placed into the stage television and the hearts of those who once loved him. Number 6. Julie Strain as the Windsurfer. Julie Strain was born on February 18, 1962, in Concord, California. When she appeared in the Baywatch Hawaii episode Red Wind at the age of 37, she emerged like a strange gust of wind on a sunlit beach, standing 1.85 meters tall, striking wild, free, and almost fearless. Although it was only a guest role in the form of a windsurfer, Julie still made herself unforgettable to viewers through her fiery energy and her distinctly rebellious beauty, as if she had been born to live amid dazzling light and raging waves. But behind that radiant image was a life marked by many silent scars. Julie was widely known as a penthouse model honored as Pet of the Year in 1993, and later became Hollywood's Queen of B movies with hundreds of roles, including Heavy Metal 2000. She once lived as a symbol of boldness, of an era of cinema that loved faces unwilling to remain within any frame. Then in 2004, a serious motorcycle accident changed everything. Her head injury led to memory decline, and frontotemporal dementia gradually took away her memories, her identity, and even her self-awareness. In her final years, the person who stayed by her side was Lloyd Stephen Ashmore, the husband who quietly cared for her through each day as her memory faded further. Julie Strain passed away on January 10, 2021 in California at the age of 58. Her estimated net worth of $1.5 million was only a small number compared with her true legacy. The image of a woman who once lived like fire, but left the world in silence, leaving behind a very beautiful sorrow of Hollywood. Number 7. Marcia Strassman as Rena Jaffe. Marcia Strassman was born on April 28, 1948 in New York. When she appeared in the Baywatch episode Out of the Blue in 1994, at the age of 46, she brought to the character Rena Jaffe a very distinctive kind of beauty. Strong, but not harsh, sincere, yet full of depth. In a television world often swept along by golden sunlight, crashing waves, and urgent moments, Rena emerged as a subtle pause where gentle determination could touch viewers longer than even the loudest scenes. Before and after Baywatch, Marcia left her mark through Welcome Back, Kotter, and Honey. I Shrunk the Kids, becoming a familiar face to many generations of audiences. But behind that familiarity was a journey that was far from easy. In an industry dominated by men, she had to keep fighting to be taken seriously so that her voice would not be drowned out by old prejudices and prolonged professional pressures. She did not only act, she also quietly struggled to preserve the dignity of a woman who worked with all her self-respect. By 2003, Marcia was diagnosed with late-stage breast cancer. One course of treatment followed another, her body weakened, and then a period when the disease temporarily receded once lit a sense of hope. But in 2013, the cancer returned, spreading to her bones and lungs. In her final days, she recorded her voice for her daughter as a way of preserving love, even when time was no longer on her side. Marcia Strassman passed away on October 24, 2014 in Sherman Oaks, California, at the age of 66. Her estimated net worth of $4 million was only a small part of it. What remained far greater was the image of a resilient, gentle woman who fought until the very last moment. Number 8. Richard Moll as Trapper. Richard Moll was born on January 13, 1943, in Pasadena, California. When he appeared in the Baywatch episode Home is Where the Heat Is in 1995, at the age of 52, he brought to the character of Trapper an unforgettable presence. Large quiet, a man of few words yet seeming to carry both darkness and the hard-earned experience of an entire lifetime. Trapper was not the kind of loud character who immediately took over the frame. He appeared like a trace of sadness passing across a sunlit beach, leaving viewers with the feeling of a man who had traveled too far through life to need to prove anything anymore. In real life, Richard Moll also had a presence that was impossible to forget, standing over 2 meters tall, and he became a familiar face thanks to his role as Bull Shannon in Night Court. But when that series came to an end, the stage lights gradually faded as well, leaving him in a Hollywood that was always rushing after youth and new faces. The feeling of being forgotten came slowly but deeply, like a long winter. Then he found another path in art, voice acting, in particular the role of Two-Face in Batman. The animated series helped Richard Moll reach a new generation of viewers, people who not only recognized his talent, but also gave him very genuine respect. 2 broken marriages, the quiet final years in Big Bear Lake, all of it made his life feel even more solitary. Yet he still kept his warm sense of humor and kindness toward his fans. Richard Moll passed away on October 26, 2023, at his home at the age of 80. His estimated fortune of $3 million was only the surface. What remained was the image of a kind, quiet artist who was deeply respected. Number 9. David Hasselhoff as Mitch Buchannon. David Hasselhoff was born on July 17, 1952, in Baltimore, Maryland. When he took on the role of Mitch Buchannon in 1989 at the age of 37, he was not merely stepping into a television series, he was stepping straight into legend. Mitch was the brave leader of Malibu Beach, a devoted father, a man who always ran toward danger instead of avoiding it. That very image turned him into the soul of Baywatch, the central face of a global phenomenon whose heat reached far beyond the waves of California. But behind that brilliant sunshine, the Hoff endured some very dark years. Fame that was too great sometimes did not lift a person up, but trapped them inside their own image. After the peak, he went through periods of alcohol dependence, isolation, embarrassing moments in front of the public, and the feeling of collapse of a man once seen as invincible. In his private life, Catherine Hickland was the first chapter. Pamela Bach was the stormiest chapter, with a marriage that lasted from 1989 until their divorce in 2006, leaving many wounds for the whole family. Then Haley Roberts appeared like a quiet place after the storm, the person who helped him find a calmer, steadier rhythm of life again, and learn how to return to himself. By 2026, as he turns 73, David Hasselhoff is still living with Haley, connected to the Los Angeles area, occasionally appearing in public, and still maintaining a special bond with European audiences through both his music and his iconic image. His net worth is around $10 million, but in the end, what is most memorable does not lie in money. David Hasselhoff's story is like a sad but beautiful Hollywood epic. Fame can make a person lose themselves, but with enough courage to come back, it can also become the road that leads to rebirth. Number 10. Jeremy Jackson as Hobie Buchanan. Jeremy Jackson was born on October 16, 1980, in Newport Beach, California. When he was only 10 years old, he joined Baywatch as Hobie Buchanan, Mitch's son, and instantly became part of the memory of an entire generation. Hobie was a symbol of youth innocence and the warm bond between father and son under the golden Malibu sun. In the stormy world of the red-suited heroes, that boy was like the softest heart of the series, reminding viewers that behind the spectacular rescues, there was always a home, an embrace, and a childhood that had once been so beautiful. But off-screen, Jeremy grew up too quickly under the weight of fame. Celebrity came too early, leaving him lonely and lost. By his teenage years, he had fallen into stimulants, steroids, and spirals that pulled him further and further away from the image of Hobie that the public had once loved. His legal troubles, including his arrest in 2007 and the violent incident in 2015 that led to a prison sentence, were only the visible part of a much deeper crisis. The confusion of a man who no longer knew who he was, once the lights had gone out. From 2012 to 2014, Jeremy was married to model Lonnie Willison, but that marriage also fell apart amid addiction pain and the exhaustion of two people slipping away from any peaceful orbit. Even so, Jeremy's story does not close completely in darkness. In recent public accounts, he has said that he is in recovery, focusing on fitness work, mental health, and recounting his journey as a warning for young people. By 2026, at the age of 45, what seems most precious to him is no longer an estimated fortune of around $500,000, but each sober day, each morning, when he can look back at his life without turning away. Sometimes, for someone who once lost himself, that is already the deepest kind of wealth. Number 11. Nicole Eggert as Summer Quinn. Nicole Eggert was born on January 13, 1972, in Glendale, California. When she joined the third season of Baywatch in 1992, at the age of 20, she brought to Summer Quinn the image of a youthful, strong, and upright young woman with a radiant smile and blue eyes as clear as the early morning sunlight on Malibu Beach. Summer was not only a beauty amid the waves and storms, but also a face that represented youth, gentleness, and quiet strength, making Nicole one of the brightest memories of that dazzling era. But behind that sunlight were years that were far from easy. Nicole had already become famous from Charles in Charge before coming to Baywatch, and many years later, she publicly accused her former co-star Scott Baio of abusive behavior when she was still very young. Baio denied those allegations. What remained longer than every controversy was not the media noise, but the lingering sense of hurt, the fierce reaction from the public, and the healing journey of a woman who had to learn how to stand firm within her own life story. In recent years, Nicole entered another battle. She announced her stage 2 breast cancer diagnosis in early 2024, after experiencing pain and unusual changes in her body. From there came a series of days filled with surgery, chemotherapy, radiation therapy, and then an exhausting but determined recovery process. By 2025, she also shared encouraging news from her tests, although in 2026, she still had to continue monitoring her health very closely. As of April 2026, Nicole is 54 years old, still deeply connected to her 2 daughters. After Baywatch, Moment in the Sun and the podcast Perfectly Twisted. Her estimated net worth is around $4 million, but what Nicole now seems to be searching for is no longer fame, but peace, after far too many storms. Number 12. David Charvet as Matt Brody. David Charvet was born on May 15, 1972, in Lyon, France. When he joined the third season of Baywatch in 1992, at the age of 20, he transformed into Matt Brody, the young, handsome, daring lifeguard with deep brown eyes and a gentle French accent that seemed to soften the entire Malibu beach. Matt was not just a good-looking face of the 1990s. He was the image of radiant youth, of confidence, mixed with a touch of vulnerability, and very quickly became one of the most beloved faces of the series. But that spotlight came with its own price. After the busy years with Baywatch and then Melrose Place, David gradually grew tired of the packed work schedule, public pressure, and the feeling of being forever trapped in an old image. He returned to France, placed his bet on music and songs, like Should I Leave and Leap of Faith showed that behind the idol's face was a soul that always wanted to tell his own story through melody instead of bright lights. Perhaps the most beautiful part of David's life lies in his maturity after fame. His marriage to Brooke Burke once created the image of an ideal family with their 2 children together, and Brooke's 2 children from a previous relationship under the same roof before distance and pressure brought that marriage to a close in 2020. In the years that followed, David stepped away from the pace of celebrity life, focusing on being a father, working in construction, developing a fitness business, and maintaining his long-standing interest in ocean-related causes. As of April 2026, he is still 53 years old. His net worth is around $12 million. But what is more precious is the way he seems to have learned to forgive himself in order to find peace again. Number 13. Alexandra Paul as Stephanie Holden. Alexandra Paul was born on July 29, 1963, in New York. When she entered Season 2 of Baywatch in 1992, at the age of 29, she turned Lieutenant Stephanie Holden into one of the most beautiful souls of the series. Strong, intelligent, empathetic, and never willing to abandon what was right. Stephanie was not only a female lifeguard under the golden Malibu sun, but also the moral heart of the show, a symbol of resilience that knew how to soften before the pain of others. But off-screen, Alexandra chose a path even harder than acting. After Baywatch, she became deeply involved in environmental and animal rights activism, taking part in civil disobedience many times. She was arrested multiple times during protests over the years. The price she paid was not small. That outspokenness gradually caused Hollywood to distance itself from her. She lost advertising opportunities, was pushed out of some projects, and watched her career slow down. Even so, Alexandra never lived as if she needed permission to be decent. There are people who accept trading the spotlight to hold on to their conscience, and she is one of them. In her private life, she has been with Ian Murray since the mid-1990s and married him in Malibu in 2000. But that peace was not easy to protect. Alexandra once spoke about a stalker who harassed the couple for 13 years, leading to court appearances, constant fear, and tens of thousands of dollars in legal costs. Yet even when forced to live on guard, she never lost her faith in compassion. By 2025, she was still hosting the vegan podcast Switch for Good with Dotsie Bausch. By 2024, the show had been honored by Mercy for Animals as the best vegan podcast. As of 2026, Alexandra Paul is 62 years old, with a net worth of around $6 million. But Alexandra Paul's greatest legacy does not lie in money. It lies in the truth she dared to speak, in the fear she refused to let conquer her, and in the courage that still stands upright even though life tried many times to push her to her knees. Number 14. Gregory Alan Williams as Garner Ellerbee. Gregory Alan Williams was born on June 12, 1956, in Des Moines, Iowa. When he joined Season 2 of Baywatch in 1991, at the age of 35, he appeared as Lieutenant Garner Ellerbee, a steady anchor in Malibu's sunlit, windswept world. With his warm, deep voice, calm, commanding presence, and kind eyes, Garner was the kind of police officer people trusted from the very first moment. He did not only stand alongside the lifeguard team in moments of danger, but also brought a sense of justice that knew how to listen, a strength joined with compassion. But off-screen, Gregory's life was never truly peaceful. His youth passed through violence, fear, and a gang-related shooting when he was only 16 years old, an event that left deep marks of depression and PTSD for many years afterward. When he entered Hollywood, he had to face another battle, quieter, but no less painful racial discrimination, and doors closing simply because he did not fit the mold that the industry imposed. Yet Gregory did not allow those wounds to turn him bitter. He chose to tell stories about kindness, forgiveness, and humanity, as if that were the most beautiful way to answer everything he had once endured. His private life also went through heartbreak. His first 2 marriages fell apart amid poverty pressure and lost trust before he found peace with Irene, his 3rd wife and creative partner. At the age of 69, Gregory Alan Williams is still acting, teaching, doing charitable work, and supporting scholarships for young black students. His estimated net worth of $4 million does not reveal who he is, as clearly as the way he lives, humble, resilient, and leaving behind a very beautiful legacy of perseverance. Above are the faces who lit up the screen and left a mark in the hearts of audiences around the world. But behind that halo of fame were silent battles, deeply hidden losses, and a resilience that few could ever fully see. Which story touched you the most? Leave your thoughts in the comments section. And if you want to continue discovering the real lives behind Hollywood's dazzling glow, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. The production team of Cinema Nostalgia sincerely thanks you for joining us on this entire journey. See you again in the videos to come.